1796, Ali Saddiq.
All right, so since we're already on it, halfway through the podcast, Mr. Saddiq decides to voice his opinion on gays raising kids. And I don't think it went over very well.
Joe starts with the don't say gay.
Don't say gay,
bill.
yeah.
And he was saying it's misleading because it's not actually don't say gay. It's just don't talk about sexuality in these first 3 grades.
Which I think is...
Or the age groups. Which I don't think is crazy.
No.
Like, let's just learn how to read arithmetic and treat each other nice. I think you think they should be educating people right from the... As soon as
no, I don't think it has nothing to do with education. But, like, if a kid is like, hey... it's like if a third grader comes up to a teacher and wants to know about sex, is that teacher just going to be like, fuck off, kid?
I think the proper protocol would be contact the parents. You guys should have this discussion.
Yeah, I don't think that's up to the teacher unless they're teaching a course about sex ed. Well, if they're teaching a course about sex ed, that's a different thing. But I don't think they teach sex ed before grade 3.
I think it's grade 6.
Listen,
that's when it starts.
First of all, sex ed is the most useless fucking course probably on earth.
Kids are
Again, I don't know if it's a teacher's business to be telling your kids about sex. I don't know. I could be wrong. I have no idea.
Here's the problem, though, is you're going to use that argument. Most parents are absolutely dog shit at teaching their kids probably about basically anything, the way the world's going, but especially sex.
I know, but that's not necessarily means that the teacher is going to be better at it. They have their own bias. Do you know what I mean? Like it could be the other way. It could be a teacher who doesn't like gay people and they're teaching about, you know what? Either thing is not good. That teacher should not be doing that.
Yes, but saying specifically, the point is like once you mandate this, you're basically saying like we aren't for gay. That's pretty much what you're saying. Because again, they have no problem teaching all sorts of, like, they want to teach creationism in a lot of states.
Well, but they shouldn't. Like, if we're just getting into...
Especially just not in those grades. It just should be so simple. Math, reading, just basic fundamentals.
I'm fine with that. I think yeah.
But the point being is, Joe came out to say this is, and that opened the gate for... So what I surmise is Alex Saddiq doesn't think gay people should be allowed to adopt children. But he's all right with people being
He doesn't
gay.
think they should raise children because, according to him, they're already at a disadvantage.
Well, his logic
was stacking the deck against them to begin with, which in this day and age, I just don't think is true anymore. Maybe it was back in the 80s.
If he had shown up with if he had shown up with a Doug Stanhope argument where you were like, oh man, but he just didn't. He was like, they can't make a kid, so they shouldn't raise a kid.
And my kid doesn't understand it, so...
Yeah, and the reason your kid doesn't understand it is because you clearly don't want to understand it. Like, listen,
he's also homeschooled, so...
Let me point this out. Right now, most people are raised by straight families, and look where the fucking world is. So I don't think it's a great argument to be like, oh, only straight people should raise kids.
I mean, I would be curious, again, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I would be curious to see the numbers of... gay couples who adopt children who then end up becoming gay. Like, I wonder if there's a push, an unknowing influence that happens there.
But even then, who cares?
Again, I didn't say I cared. I would just be interested in seeing the numbers.
And Joe, I doubt the numbers are affected. If you want like that, again, this is just me guessing, but yeah, I guess those numbers would be
But Joe retorted that he knew a gay couple that was his neighbor and they raised a kid and nothing happened. So,
and there's got to be millions of those situations. And again, if you're talking about a kid, just forget even the gay part of it for a second. If you're talking no family who's going to live like love is better than no love, period. Yeah. We know this. Like, being hugged is better than not being hugged. I don't care if it's coming from a bear or a...
And gay guys love hugs.
And I don't mean a gay bear. I mean like a real bear, like a dog. That's why people get dogs, man, because...
I think the most incriminating thing he said was sort of like, this is just not natural. It's just not natural.
You could just...
It's a very simple position.
You could just tell that his argument was coming from all emotion and no, like, logic.
The weirdest part was I sat there and I was like, this guy sounds like an old white racist. Like, if you changed gay for black, this is something that you heard white Americans say 100 years ago. Like, this was the trope. This is what everyone thought. Oh, it's unnatural. You can't have black. It's just not true. So, like, I don't know. Like, I'm with you, Simon. That was my whole point was if a kid's going to grow up with no home in a terrible environment, you're telling me that he or she is not better off with a gay couple. First of all, gay people, by and large, make great money. They keep clean homes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I'm sure there's dirty gays, but no, 2 parents are better than one.
I wonder if being in prison warps you a little bit, because of course it does. Because a percentage of the gay people in prison are pedophiles, and you know what I mean? Like, no?
That is the wildest fucking thing I've ever
heard
like
you
say.
Agreed with him and then had to disagree in a split
Well,
second.
I meant like, I'm sure if you're in prison, you have a different view of gay because you see you see a lot of rape, you see a lot.
That's more what I was getting at.
Yeah,
they're offenders.
No, listen. There are people in prison for non-violent offenses that are in there for a long time that might rape someone.
I know, but I don't care. Just because you're in prison doesn't mean that your rape is okay.
I get it. My point is, it doesn't mean if you're raping someone in prison, it doesn't mean you were a rapist outside.
Okay, but some of them are.
Yeah, of course. Well, there's prisons filled with rapists.
It may be a case of the pig developing a taste for blood.
And just the whole pedophile thing. Like, I know in prison, those are the worst people. You know, the bottom of the barrel.
I also don't think they're in Gen Pop.
No, I wonder if he, you know what? I was just
He's not
wondering if you get
he's
like confused between gay people and pedophiles because you were in prison and.
He's not anti-gay. I don't think he was just anti them raising children. But the surrogate's a weird thing, right?
I mean, isn't that kind of the same thing, though? If you're anti them raising children, you think that they're not good enough to raise children. So are you really okay with gay? The natural
way of things is a man has sex with a woman, and they like all the gay people were made that way. But now with intravenous stuff, it's surrogates. It's sort of open it up. But he just thinks there's a natural course of order. That's what he thinks. So I'm not saying I agree with it. You know what I mean? His analogy of the dog in the laundry room just still gonna be a dog. Like I don't think that's gonna. It just didn't wash. But he did tell the funny story about the guy in prison. He was like, "Call me gay again, and I'm gonna whoop your ass and shove my finger up your ass."
Well, is that why or did we hear this somewhere that nobody picks fights with the gay guys in prison?
I brought that up, yeah.
Because if you get whooped, then you're known as the guy who gets whooped by the gay guy. So that's why they get left alone for the majority of the time?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that, but maybe.
It totally makes sense.
I brought that up.
You said that?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew I had heard it somewhere.
It wasn't
my own idea, but
So did we address that sort of?
I mean, yeah.
It was just a weird spot of it. What I was saying is like Monty Franklin is a comedian. Ali Siddiq's a comedian. Ali Siddiq was just so much more funny. And I was talking about a friend. I don't know if it's racist, but like black people are just so more animated. And maybe if you want to say it's because slavery, they had to be like more uppity, like to get through the
uppity means bitchy, right?
Yeah, and I don't think you're supposed to say that about a black person.
Not uppity, but like cool is from slavery. Like be cool, or we're gonna get in trouble. Like just black comedy versus white comedy. I find black comedy is just.
Well, he was on. He was mixing in bits. He was. Because I went and watched a bunch of Ali Saddiq afterwards.
Yeah, Monty was just there to have a chat.
Monty was just there talking. You know what I mean?
Like a Mark Norman, a Theo Vaughn. I could just list a bunch. Like it doesn't have to do with the race, but I find black comedy just a different level of comedy than white comedy. But Monty Franklin just I kept thinking he was a hunter or environmental guy.
I found that he made a couple of jokes and Joe just didn't respond to them at all.
As Joe does.
So have you guys seen Ali's this isn't happening, Mexicans wearing boots?
No.
Oh, dude, you have to watch that. It's really fucking funny.
He is very funny.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Most of his comedy is about prison.
And you can see why Cat Williams doesn't like him.
Why?
Well, I just think they're similar.
Well, he seems more real. Like, was Cat Williams ever in prison?
That quick talking, like, I'm just sounding like a fucking bigot here, but.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, because apparently I said something that Matt's never disagreed with me more about. So.
It was so funny for him to, like, not many people air out their laundry. Do you know what I mean? Like, you start talking shit about Cat Williams, like, I'll fight him, and Joe was letting him, like, normally it's like, oh, this comic I worked with, but he wanted to, It's just
He's been airing that laundry for the past 8 years. Like, if you go to Ali Siddiq, there'll be 4 different shows that he's said that exact same story.
Why can't he just make that phone call or reach out?
Well, he wants Kat to do it.
Some sort of weird pride thing.
He's fucking
so weird,
he's
too.
a man from the streets.
Well, it's a weird flex. It's like Kat's not doing very well. He's not the dude who's going to reach out. Like, he's not mentally... He fought a 14-year-old kid and lost.
He fought a 14-year-old kid?
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I never saw that.
But
No?
he's hilarious in Atlanta. I
the
know you
kid
don't
pinned
remember
him.
I don't remember the episode, but he was the alligator guy. But I think they talk about it in the Garcia episode, like that insulation world you get to, where no one like I think Cat Williams is on another planet.
Where it's just yes men around you and
Just
nobody is calling
like he just
you on
exists in
shit.
this thing, and he doesn't. I don't think he'll fight Ali Siddiq, but
No fucking wait. Ali Siddiq is like a real boxer.
yeah, he's got hands. I said that like Brian Callen would say, like he knows something. Then he brought up all the former leader of North Korea, Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kim Jong Un.
all of his
It's a great
incredible...
bit.
Those,
It's a great bet.
But the burritos, that's just too greedy, right?
Yeah.
You could say I did the hole-in-ones. You could say I sunk 300 three-pointers in a row. Yeah, sure you did. But to say you invented the burrito?
No,
There's
they're
a-
all equally ridiculous.
There's a great line.
That's the greediest.
There's
No.
a great line in Austin Powers where Dr. Evil is saying, like, talking about his father. He's like, my father used to claim he invented the question mark.
I remember that, yeah.
Well, like Matthew Perry thinks he invented
Doesn't
sarcasm.
listen to me at all.
My father invented the question mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
Like you can't say you did that.
Okay, that is so funny, though. That is a really funny bit. I don't know if that actually is an Ali Siddiq bit, but it's a really funny bit. That Kim Jong-il makes up all, or is it Un? Un or Il?
It was Un. Now it's Il. Kim Jong-il.
Makes up all that
best
shit about
is when they
himself.
show the footage.
First time he's ever gone golfing. The first time he's ever gone
38
golfing, he
under.
got 8 or 13 holes in one.
And imagine what would have happened if he actually applied himself. But
Is that what it said in it? If he had actually tried to be a
You
good
know what
golfer.
I love? That's what I love about the guy is he's like, well, I can't tell him that the first time out I just hit all hole-in-ones, right? It's like there's par fives, you can't hit a hole-in-one.
But
on
he's
those.
still saying that he shot the best golf round ever.
I'm well aware.
Like, don't throw out like a 70. That makes you a great golfer.
yeah,
It's like a 20, a 22.
First of all, Simon,
maybe shoot par.
listen,
Like,
if the three of us went out tomorrow and I shot a 70 and I got one hole-in-one, that would be absolutely unreal.
if you shot a 70 and got a hole in one, yeah, both those things are possible.
this is what I'm
no,
saying.
The hole in one's possible.
Well, because again,
I
it's
know a
fluke.
guy who shot a hole in one and shot like 122.
Yeah. The hole in one, you have way more
just-
chance of getting than hitting 70.
Yeah,
you guys
way,
know
honestly.
way better chance.
guys know that
you have to be good to. This ball went like this, duck, 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 all the way to the hole. It was a shank hole in one.
You know that a blind guy's hit a hole-in-one?
Yeah.
That
Well,
that doesn't actually surprise me.
as
all
long as
that
you have a
much.
spotter,
But this is what I'm
And
saying.
A perfect swing.
someone
you
lines
know?
you up, and
Yeah.
you have the mechanics.
Well, even then, if you also spent a day on the same par three,
But I want to see that blind guy hit 70.
I think they have a thing also.
impossible.
Just get around the course, you know?
I think they also have a thing where there's some
Like
sort
see him
of
drive the cart.
beacon where the flag is.
Oh, like a
Like there's almost a sonar thing.
Oh,
I think-
that's
I think-
cool.
I think that's how they do it.
That's
They dial it
cool.
in there.
But then somebody would have
Putting,
to
I
set
don't-
him to
I
each
don't understand how you line up a
shot,
putt.
right? Your caddy is very important if you're a blind golfer.
Yes.
dude. He'd be lucky because I would be putting him in front of trees
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be a good caddy then.
just for kicking. Okay, nothing.
You
Fine.
probably don't try too hard because you know one of the worst things about golfing is rushing to see how you hit the ball.
Yeah.
Lifting up your head like where to go.
Yeah.
Whereas if you ever don't and
it's-
trust other people to
it's
watch,
true.
you hit it so much better.
But Kamar, that's not to say that you don't naturally lift your head if you're blind too.
you're not looking anywhere.
Well,
you're not looking to see how you
maybe
did.
it's just a natural
You gotta
fucking thing.
You can tell someone you did it again, another hole in one. You're not gonna believe this. Just G them up.
The burrito thing's really interesting too because it's like great leader, powerful leader, where did you get any of these ingredients? Because we don't grow any of this shit.
The tortilla came to him in a dream.
No, but like...
No, all the other things, of course, are outlandish and not real, but the burrito's just like, come on. And 2011?
Kamar,
that's what Saddiq's point was.
I'm more likely to believe that a short, stocky Asian invented a rolled burrito type food than he hit any amount of hole-in-ones on the longest golf course in the world.
I think the point is nobody can call you on the golf thing.
Yeah.
Well, but we know. Everybody, all the Mexicans know about the burrito, you know?
Bullshit.
Well, the thing is if you're going to say you invented the burrito, at least look it up. And, you know, like Wikipedia, okay, the burrito was invented in, okay, well, I got to at least predate that by a year or two. At least for time, like, right? Because we all can just be like, no, well, it says here the burrito was invented in like 1930 in a...
That's what I mean. There isn't going to be a Google search you can do to prove that he didn't hit 13 holes in one.
Oh, we all just know. Let's keep in mind, too, he mentioned it was the longest golf course in the world.
Imagine you tried.
And it was his first time golfing. Like, he didn't leave anything out of that fucking brag.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the longest golf course in the world, that means the par fours are, like, unhittable.
I told you there's one golf course where... you get in a helicopter, they take you up to the tee box, it's super high, and then you hit your ball down. You've been golfing before, Kamar. You know when you're at a course that has just a crazy high tee box, like Edelweiss or something, and you're hitting way down.
The ninth hole at the Heron.
And you should be hitting a
9-iron, but instead you're hitting a wedge because it's fucking down 600 feet.
Exactly. This one,
like
you'd have to like putt off the top of it to...
That's interesting.
Well, it's really high. I mean, you still hit a club, but that ball coming down is going to kill somebody 100%.
Yeah, you got to give a lot of fours.
Simon, if I bring the PS4 in here, will you stream some golf against me?
Tiger Woods?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, you could play too. There's PGA.
I love that game. It's so relaxing.
Yeah, there we go.
The little detail of the birds.
Yeah, this will be some good content. Competitive golf.
One of the big topics of this podcast was people's, body dysmorphia, alterations, and he made a big point. Like Michael Jackson fucked a lot of people up. You know, if you look at him, like all he had, and you have to do this. Like obviously, it was a mental illness, but he was saying had Mike just stayed normal, I wouldn't feel bad about myself. And I just imagine the amount of people that are affected by seeing celebrities who alter themselves. So like you have all this stuff and you're not happy, so you have to do that. Maybe I have to do that. It's a bad precedent.
I mean, it only makes sense if it looks good. Michael Jackson never looked good.
I don't think any of them look good. Maybe initially, but like prolonged Botox, like they all look fucked up.
See, here's the thing though, is this is what when they were like, have you ever seen anyone with a good anything done? You have, you just don't know. That's the difference between good and bad plastic surgery. Yes. And a lot of it. Like, what you're saying, Kamar, is correct. Too much of it, you're just a train wreck.
Like Mickey Rourke?
Oh, my God. But, I mean, he fought, too. So that's a weird one. Like, that's a very, like, Liza Minnelli. There's a ton of examples. Simon Cowell. There's a ton of examples of people that have had way, way, way too much work done.
Carrot Top.
Another great example.
That might just be the sun. You never know.
What? No.
Dude, by the way, I was watching Jimmy Carr's special the other day, and he says he has the funniest line. He goes, gingers, or as I call them, strawberry disgusting.
The cutest part is when he starts talking about plants, and Joe's like, what are you, a botanist? He's like,
yes,
yeah,
I am, Joe. Yeah.
Dives into it. And it's an important to embrace this stuff. Like growing food is going to be important, and if you do have a little group of people like-minded, you can really help sustain yourself.
I think that's
the idea of one person growing one thing and whatnot.
I think that's actually somewhat a myth, in the sense that it's very difficult to grow food, and it's even more difficult to grow enough of it to sustain one family, let alone a community. Growing food is incredibly fucking difficult.
Growing some things is difficult. Growing some things is easy. Like I see what Kamar is saying. If all I had to do was grow the lettuce,
You just learn.
It's a pain because I have to know how to grow cucumbers and lettuce and tomatoes and this, and they're all a little experiment. But if all I have to do is grow the lettuce, and all Kamar has to do is grow the carrots, he's going to get really good at growing carrots. I'm going to get really good at growing lettuce. You'll get really good at growing whatever the fuck, you know what I mean?
What's that Japanese thing where you're just incredibly good at one thing? I think the Indians had it too. It's like that. You just get you're the lettuce. Yeah, I get that, but it's a long road to get there. And what I'm saying too is like, how much lettuce, let's say you're a community, 10 families, okay? Let's say 10 of us get a big plot of land. How much lettuce is enough to sustain 10 families for a year?
Climate matters.
Well, and 10 families might be pushing it. You know what I mean?
Even 5 families, Simon. How much lettuce is enough to sustain 5 families for a year?
I don't know, but lettuce is really easy to grow. It grows really fast. You plant it already big. You know what I mean?
Okay, but even then, I mean,
most part.
we live in Canada too, so you have a big problem there where our growing
you just
seasons,
get a greenhouse. Everybody has a tiny little greenhouse in their backyard.
Yeah, you're right. It is a long road, but just look at the way things are developing right now. It may be a road worth going down. And as you get older, like you gotta care about your plants more.
I'm telling you though, from a person who's tried and failed many times at gardening, it's because the breadth. If you were just having to grow one thing, it would be so much easier.
But everything has different growing needs and watering or
and it's just it's a lot to.
But even then, think about weed. You're growing one thing. It's very difficult to grow incredible weed. Right.
I mean, again,
till you figure it out.
Yeah, and if that was what I had to do, like that was my thing, I would learn how to grow really fucking good weed.
For the better of the community.
We're sitting here saying this. There's tons of people that don't grow good weed, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
The food is more important to sustaining.
I know. I'm just using one example. Though. Someone was saying that
stress out that the world's coming to an end.
And growing weed is a lot harder than growing lettuce or carrots or tomatoes or any of that stuff.
I think you'd be surprised.
No, I don't think I would. It's like...
No, you'd be surprised.
No, I'm telling you. I don't think it's as easy as you think, Simon. I don't think it's just like, oh, look, I planted tomatoes and now I have tomatoes.
Again, I don't think it's that easy either. But, I mean, it pretty much, you're just planting stuff and then you'll figure it out.
Well, what he broke...
a buddy of mine planted carrots 2 years in a row. Both years, when he pulled them out of the ground, they were like this big.
He planted them too close together.
No. Both years he was like, I've gone to every length possible to do everything to grow these carrots. And again, I have a few friends. Dude, I know a guy that bought a farm thinking like he was going to start farming. And
well, again, that's really hard. You know what I mean?
That's what
You're
I
talking
said.
about doing this on a huge scale.
What he broke down though is that the biggest challenge is the insects.
Yes.
The ecosystem within, and you have to get insects for other insects, and it was really interesting. Maybe he'd be so ignorant about one thing to be so into something else. And he said, I don't know if you guys ever listen to CBC, but every Tuesday they always have a gardening show. It could be about flowers, it could be about vegetables, whatever. And the passion and the interaction, like if you grow stuff, it's just knowledge you want to share and want to know stuff.
Do you hate listening to the CBC? Is that
I don't listen to it
anymore.
I mean,
anything you do, you're going to want to share.
Like growing stuff is cool. Like versus crochet. Like that, sure, knitting is a skill you want to, but the growing, the creating, the challenges, it just seems to have something to it. And they went back to alterations, but this time instead of men on women. Do you think women should not wear makeup? Like, is it a cheat code? Because that's what he's saying.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Cheat code? Who makes the fucking rules?
We don't get to wear makeup. Like, but have you ever seen the
But
girl?
do it. Wear makeup. Nobody's fucking stopping
I'm not
you.
saying I can't. I think I'm good looking enough still, but I'll never go Botox or whatever. But I might get some eyeliner there if I want to become more mysterious. Have you guys ever gone for a mani or a pedi?
Yeah.
It feels amazing, eh?
Amazing.
It's the best to be pampered on. And he was saying in Korea they don't have that.
I would like to try those fish. You tried that, eh?
I did the fish, yeah.
Fish eating your feet.
The tub's good enough, and they give a little pumice scrub, and they once broke out the Dremel.
Oh, they've done that
on your feet.
I got one little claw on my middle toe.
Wow. Did they really break out the
They really did, like
drill thing?
Yeah. It was a little embarrassing, but
No way.
I just don't like. It's like the Seinfeld episode. I don't like that they'll look you in the eye and then look at their like cohort and say some shit, and you're like, you motherfucker, like gross white boy with his fucking stank feet. Like,
translator's got to come in.
Yeah.
There. Oh, I wash before I go.
Of course.
Well, I'm not.
Well,
saying
don't you clean your teeth before you go to the dentist?
I won't be going to the dentist until 2025.
I actually go to one dentist to get my teeth cleaned because one of them is very judgmental. So I like to go in, get my teeth clean, and then they're like, "Wow, you've really been flossing." I'm like, "Fucking right, I have."
I thought he did a good job of breaking down like all the shade that's been thrown at Joe because said he was on Godfrey's podcast. He's like, "What do you think Joe's racist?" He's like, I don't think Joe's racist, but it's clear that people who don't have what you have, like it manifests in trying to take Joe down for anything. You know what I mean? And he's done right by what he did wrong. Issuing an apology. Some people say he shouldn't even apologize. I hope he just had Alex Saddiq on. This is an ongoing thing to try to overcorrect for what he did.
He always had lots of black people on the show.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything towards, but
I don't know about lots.
More than, just as many as his women.
I don't think he's had any more on now than before. I think you're just noticing it now because there's something to notice.
I would disagree with that. I think if we went back like 1 year and did a count, I think you'd be probably pretty surprised.
Okay, I mean,
none of us are going to do that.
Somebody should do that.
I'm going to do that. Well, here,
leave that in the wind.
I'll do it in between for the post show. Yeah.
They talked about ass whoopings. Have you ever seen someone get their ass beat?
I've seen many people.
We went to Glebe.
And it's amazing that they recover. Like when watching, it's on the TV, organized. I cringe sometimes just when
it's
you hear
terrible.
a shot,
I hate watching.
But live fights is so.
You get that feeling in your stomach,
and you're stepping back because you don't want it to.
Yeah, the whole thing is bad. I don't like it.
We had a friend who used to like whip people's asses on the regular, and he was smaller than most people.
Well, and there's something too about having like a knockout punch, especially if you're a little guy. Like we knew a guy.
There's a knockout punch, and there's just sheer ferocity.
Sheer ferocity, being willing to punch first. Yeah. That's a big one. But when you're willing to punch first and you have really heavy hands, there's something, you're going to win a lot of fights.
It doesn't apply for Chico probably, but he was talking about the cane corso, showed his teeth, and he have you ever had to manhandle a dog?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understood what he was talking about, but then he just seemed really mean in the end, you know what I mean? But sometimes you have to show your dog that you're the alpha.
Dominance.
You have to, or else they're going to trample all over you. That's just, it's how it is. It's how it is in their pack. When they do something wrong, another dog grabs them by the throat, throws them on their back, says something to them right in their face, and they get it, And
you can mostly do it with tone.
Yeah, and you don't have to hurt them. You're not going out to physically hurt them.
I've had situations at dog park where the dog is attacked another dog, and you can't be like, "Oh,
dude!"
Stop.
I had the craziest shit happen to us the other day at the park.
Down at the pit.
At the pit, we're just leaving, and we're just getting the dogs on the leashes. And right before I put my old dog on the leash, she's 13 years old. She can't even fuck with people. She's too old. You know what I mean? She's the nicest dog in the world. Anyway, she goes over to this Saint Bernard, giant fucking dog. It was huge, man. It was a horse. And it just went crazy on her, grabbed her by the neck, threw her on the ground. I went, what the fuck? And I started running over, and I didn't even know what I was going to do once I got there because this dog was so big. Yeah. Another dog, I probably would put my arms, but this thing was so big. Luckily, the woman finally got control of her dog. And she's like, he's wearing a muzzle. I'm like, no, that's not a fucking muzzle, lady. A muzzle means your dog can't open its mouth. Yeah. This thing just got its jaws. My dog was all bleeding and shit. It was crazy. It was crazy.
You don't take Chico to those places.
Well, if that had been Chico, he would be dead. Automatically dead. If that had been a puppy, he would be automatically dead. I was in shock when I was leaving, but if I ever see her again, that's exactly what I'm going to tell her. I'm not going to be an asshole about it, but I'm just going to say, look, if that was a puppy, Like, you would be standing there with a dog with a dead puppy in its mouth, period. There's no...
It's almost like...
So get your shit together.
At a point with dogs, it's not like having a gun, but there's like a responsibility you have to be aware you have to like...
1,000%.
Yeah.
And if that happens, you have to fucking like... You have to go home and deal with that shit. If that means getting a trainer for your dog, if that means getting a leash that like pinches your dog, whatever it is that is going to help you control that fucking horse.
What if it means putting it down?
Then you put it down.
Yeah.
Dog park people are the fucking worst. I try not to go. We try to take him so that he's better with dogs, but he
Sociable.
but he just ends up sitting beside me the whole time. But dog park people just fucking suck. The dog park near me is filled with the fucking shittiest people.
The worst are the dog walkers.
The people that have 15 dogs.
Because they've sold to somebody that they care about animals, and then they go to the park and they just let them run free, and they don't pick up all their shit. Some of them do, but some of them are, it's just a cash grab.
You're casting a pretty wide blanket on those dog walkers.
Come and get me.
Come and get me.
But I dated a girl in university, and she was writing a thesis on human interaction at the dog park.
Okay.
Which is very interesting. Like, there's this whole microcosm of life that goes on at the dog park. People meeting, falling in love, becoming friends, becoming enemies. Like, it's a whole thing,
Yeah, it's a community.
Anyways, it's crazy.
It's a community. I talked about prison reform. Like, you learn how to survive in prison. You don't learn how to be a better person necessarily. And prison
I
fights.
actually think some people do.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, there's the guy that Joe had that became a lawyer, turned his case around. Of course, I'm painting with a broad brush.
If you're having to worry about your safety, it's hard to
of course, to
make yourself better because you're spending all your time in the state of
when you hear
tension,
about prison riots, like they get out of control.
I'm just saying the people that
scariest place on
the
earth.
Mexican got their boots on, man.
There are people that hunker down and just fucking get a degree and read, and that does happen. It's few and far between, but it happens.
And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'm sure I did. Kodak Black was talking about how he got shot in prison. Like he's a rapper, like successful. And they're asking, like, you should, when you hear about a football player with 200 pounds of marijuana, like, what are you doing here? And it's really important that you consider that people, places, and things can change your life. Like you've got. If you try to be responsible. Obviously, I did stupid stuff when I was young. But
why are you talking about Kodak Black?
Well, no, he was just talking about how people get in trouble and stuff. And I was just saying, Kodak Black said, I've talked to people, and now it's focusing on the people, places, and things I do are going to steer me to be the best life. And I just like Kodak Black. I can't understand a word he says, but I like him.
I just like Kodak Black.
Teachers are so important. If we taught our kids properly, we wouldn't have to imprison our men. I mean, it's sort of, but that's where all our focus should be, is teaching people how to be good people in school, and reward teachers accordingly. I think that's the only chance. I don't think prisons are going to work. The education system has to be looked at differently.
Well, yeah, if we had a better education system, the prison system wouldn't be so overcrowded.
I think there's a correlation there, and it has to be looked at. And I'm not the guy to do it.
It's because we don't tend to try to fix a problem at its core. We just try to fix it in the
one leaf at a time.
But yeah, I agree with you, Kumar. Obviously, if the education system was much better, we would have a lot less bullshit.
And then just to top it off, Ali Saddiq says, if I was president, he would have anyone who molests children or rapes someone publicly have their dick tied around a truck and torn off, and they would be called dick off crimes. And it ended up being funny, but I was just like, he obviously is probably a fan of capital punishment. Do you know what you would do if you were president? It's a sort of weird question because we're Canadian.
I mean, the dick off crime is interesting, though. It's not going to solve everything, but let's just look at child rape.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to do that if the crime is you get your dick ripped off. I don't care what your urges are. If that's what could happen to you.
But if you look at child rape, that's a dick off crime.
That's a dick off crime.
I'm saying,
right?
But nobody gets their dick taken off.
No.
There's no threat of dick off.
Castration maybe would be a little more civilized way than his method. And he said,
okay,
when you tear that dick off, it's from the asshole out.
I don't care how you're losing your dick. It's the fact that you lose your dick.
I just wonder how many people would survive having it. And I like how he said a long rope. So as the truck starts,
you just watch the slack disappear.
Before the tension comes and tears your
He's
dick off.
looking for a lot of suffering in this dick off crime.
Yeah.
I'm being more serious. Like, if that's the punishment for rape,
Imprisonment
nobody is raping
not
anymore.
discouraging anyone. Clearly. Yeah. So
Yeah, but you act like there's states with capital punishment where they'll kill you, right? And people still murder people. So the dick off thing, I mean,
none of it works.
As much as I'm with you,
I think you're going to have to cut off a lot of dicks at the start.
Okay.
To really set like a precedent. And then,
what happens when you cut off a dick and then you find out that the guy's
that's
actually innocent?
that's the problem. That's the problem. They better have a way to reattach those dicks.
Oh no, the dick doesn't come back.
See,
Well, no, but this is the problem.
It's on a truck flailing down the road, hitting rocks. Like by the time you get it back,
Okay, how about
I
this?
don't know, I have a problem with
How
this.
about this?
Okay.
Okay. If it turns out that you were wrong, you get a better dick.
Like a $6 million man dick.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have had 6 inches. We're going to give you 8.5, and it's going to be shiny and new.
I think we should just have really stiff penalties. I don't know if this is going to work anymore.
But that
Well,
dick's
look,
gonna be
if
made
we're
in
just
China.
making up fucking dick off crimes, then let's also have a real good dick on procedure to compensate,
Joe is all for it. I think it's going to be on Ali Saddiq's next special. He's got a special coming on HBO. I think it's be funny.
You think it's already on his special?
He said it's happening. He didn't say no.
The dick off crime.
It'll be his next one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we disagreed with him. We agreed with him. He's funny. I'd like to see him fight Cat Williams, even though it wouldn't be a fair fight.
Well, that was the thing. Is I was like, Cat Williams is like on a good day 5'2". How
He
fucking?
don't weigh a $105.
Yeah, there's no way. It seems like an unfair fight.
Here's my last thing about this episode. Do you think Joe should have taken like a more other side stance when he said that stuff, or do you think that's
Gay
just
stuff?
Yeah, that's
no. I
just
think
what
he
you
said
do.
equivalently. I don't know what you're talking about because I live beside a couple that raise a kid and there's fine. So I don't think.
If it was something else, Joe and somebody else, Joe may have argued it more.
Well,
I thought it was funny.
Joe has to play an interesting dance right now.
This
he,
is
it
what-
can't-
this is
it
what
can't
I'm
be in the
driving at.
news like Joe pushes back on black man's opinion. You know what I mean?
It just worked out that way. But it's like, and I grew up in San Francisco on the crookedest street in the world, and it was super gay. I don't think that was.
What is the
connection.
crookedest street in the world?
He said it, but I forgot.
He
what
didn't
It's in
say
San
it.
Francisco.
He
That's
didn't.
what he said.
Joe did not grow up on this street.
This is what he said he did.
Is it Fremont?
Are you sure he said that?
I'm not sure about anything, but
I don't think. Do you remember him
Anywho.
saying that?
Is it Fremont?
I don't know.
The name of the street?
Oh, I don't know.
I
I'll
think
tell you.
I
Hold
think
on.
Joe.
I don't think that
pushed
maybe.
back as much as he's gonna do, and not making it complete awkward. Like get out of my studio, and he's laughing more than he's cringing. That's Saddiq. So rate it.
Lombard.
Oh, Lombard. That's right.
Of course, super gay.
I'll put it in closing. I just thought
Joe
Kamar.
did not live on Lombard.
I just thought Kamar. I was like, at some point this will be like a clear bit, and it just never really came. I was like, oh, okay.
The dick off?
No, the gays not having kids.
I also
I
thought
think-
it was a bit at the beginning,
I think that's his firm
and no,
position.
that
Yeah.
obviously,
Yes,
firm
that's what I'm saying.
position.
Though, is at first I was like, okay, I'll give him a pass. He's a comedian. He's gonna get there, and then he never got there, and I was like, okay, but whatever. That's it.
But I think he'd be concerned at the amount of people that share his viewpoints, as backward or as ignorant as it is.
I mean,
I'm
just
not concerned. I'm not gay. I am aware of how many people share his viewpoint.
again, I think a lot of people shared that viewpoint in the 80s, and we're fucking 40 years later, which is crazy to say 40 years ago was the 80s. I just don't think, I think so. We're so much more open-minded now.
And again, the big point is I would far rather have a child be raised by two people that want to raise a kid
Love.
than have a kid be out there in the foster
Yeah.
care system or possibly in some shit home. Like, I don't know.
Love is better than no love, period.
Can say it better myself.
What are we going to do here? Are we going to
I give it a 3. I give it a 3.
Oh, yeah. I give it a 2.
I thought it was funny. He made me laugh.
I give it a 2. Also, I don't know, or a 1.5, something.
You don't care.
You don't give
No,
a
I'm torn.
Just pick a number then.
He did.
You know what?
You said a 1.5, 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what you said.
That's what I'm sticking with.
That's going to be fun for the guy that
People
runs the
keep in
Reddit.
check.
Just put a question mark.
1.5. No, 2.
A 2.
No,
okay.
a 1.5. It doesn't matter.
You haven't been using your queer numbers as much lately.
Oh, boy. Crooked numbers.
Sorry.
Oh, you think he's called it a crooked street because it was a queer street?
I said here's what he said, and I thought he was like dog whistling Ali Saddiq, but no, I'm sure that was not the case.
Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to take a break and then do the next 2? Cram them into like an hour and 15?
Sounds great because I'm just going to shit on someone.
Oh, that'll be fun. All right, well, we are going to take a break. We are going to pay a bill, and then we will be right back.